holy cow, we got a 726 on the RTI ramp, winning the best flex of all the Gladiators that were there. Let's talk about it. All right, so yeah, I'm so stoked. I can't believe that Bagheera scored a 726 on the RTI ramp. That is incredible for a Gladiator that's really a basic build. I mean, it's 3.5-inch lift on 38-inch tires. To score a 726 is pretty nuts. I mean, it should have been in, you know, the 690 range, you know, around 700. You know, I was hoping to crack 700, but 726 exceeded my expectations. Now, we're going to talk about the two things that we did to get there. One of them is brand new, and one of them has been on here for a while. The first is the Clayton 3.5-inch premium lift. Using the Johnny joints that it has does provide a little more lift, or a little more articulation and flex than some other kits out there. So that definitely played a part in it to make sure that this thing had the articulation that I wanted. However, the second piece, which is brand new, not only increases your articulation, it fixes what I consider to be a major Gladiator design flaw, and that's the rear sway bar. Now you'll see the sway bar links come back off the rear axle way low to the ground, and they're prone to hitting rocks as you come down on things, which bend the linkages. I've bent two of them. My friend Gino has bent them. Rich has bent them. When we did Rose Garden Hill, the Gladiator with us, that was with us that day, he bent those linkages. I mean, it is a common occurrence. The TeraFlex rear sway bar kit solves that problem 100% by relocating everything way up high. In fact, the sway bar is now above the frame instead of being down at the diff. So there's nothing to hit anymore. So it not only solves the design flaw of the rear sway bar, it gives you 16 inches of articulation. So that's incredible. Now, this video is not sponsored by TeraFlex. I bought this kit used because a Gladiator had been wrecked that had it on there. We got it off, and I saved a bunch of money by buying it used and having someone put it on for me. So this is not a TeraFlex ad or a TeraFlex sponsored ad. This is something that I just did to improve the performance of the Gladiator, and wow, it did it. So we're going to talk about getting it installed, what's it like, you know, kind of what it's going to take to install the TeraFlex rear sway bar. You're going to need some tools, some high quality drill bits, a countersink tool, and your basic wrenches and stuff, and you can do it. You can do it yourself. I would lift the rear end a little bit and take the tires off if you're trying to do it on the ground. Doing it on a lift, whew, big difference, makes it go a whole lot smoother. We're going to then, show it again as we do some testing with it. We're going to take it off-road and see how it performs off-road. But let's get into it and let's get it installed. This pile of metal here may look a little rough, but it is a rear sway bar for the JT from TeraFlex. Now this one may look a little rough around the edges because this one is actually used. It was installed on a Gladiator. The Gladiator got wrecked and this was pulled off, and it's hardly got any miles on it. So there's a couple brackets that need to be installed. These are the arms. Here's the bar itself, and then the linkages. And you'll see that all of this is in a totally different position than stock, so it'll help get things up out of the way from what I just showed you. So I think this is going to be a pretty solid upgrade. This, I believe, brand new, sells for like $750, I think, somewhere in there. I'll put the exact information down below so you can see it with a QR code and all that good stuff. So what we need to do is get the Gladiator up on a lift. There's a couple holes for those brackets that need to be drilled. We'll kind of show you that along the way. And then we're going to take it to Jeeps and Java this weekend and put it on an RTI lift and see if it actually made a difference in the articulation as well. So those are the two things we're hoping for. One is better clearance on those arms in the back, and two, hopefully a little better articulation. So we're gonna grab everything, go over to my buddy's shop who has a lift and has done a handful of these installs, so he knows exactly what he's doing and we'll be able to get it done fairly quickly. For someone doing this at home for the first time, expect that this is probably gonna take about 4 hours. Hopefully we'll be done a lot quicker because there'll be multiple people over there and he knows what he's doing, and we should be able to knock it out fairly quickly. So we're gonna get it packed up, get over to Rob's place. Okay, we've got the old sway bar all taken off. Now, time to start putting new parts on. Here's everything kind of laid out here so you can kind of see it a little bit better. Doing it on a lift definitely makes things a whole lot easier. So we'll keep showing you progress as we keep going. As I mentioned earlier, that I'd actually bent one of these before, and now after we had pulled this off and looked at it, this one is bent. So that means I did take a couple hits on that arm coming down, and the new TeraFlex system is going to solve that because none of these components will be in the way anymore. But not only did I bend one on the other side, it eventually broke, and this side is bent as well. So yep, instead of constantly having to deal with that, well, we just replace it and no more problem. This was not sponsored by TeraFlex. I had nothing to do with TeraFlex. I actually bought this, as I said earlier, as a used part from someone else, and TeraFlex doesn't even know I'm doing this video. So this is purely from Rob's suggestion after having done a handful of these, getting this thing on here. He says it's going to make a big difference in overall performance, with people saying that they didn't even realize they had a sway bar before because the stock is just not that good. And this is a big improvement. So we have better clearance in the back, less components to hit on, supposedly some better articulation, which we'll find out in a few days, and definitely a better setup. Can't wait to get it finished. We'll go back and check on them, see how they're doing.
I thought you were talking to me.
No, I got to do my filming, man.
Yeah, he has.
So this bracket here gets installed. You got the two holes here, but you have to drill out these two. So you got to make sure you got a really good drill bit and probably some cutting oil and get that done, because this is some pretty tough material here. And we'll show you what gets attached to that in a little bit. Where we had those arms that came way down before, this is way up out of the way, right on the axle. So it's a nicer geometry coming off of here, better angles, and nothing hanging down that's going to get caught, or that bar that's going to get hit. So starting to see it come together. See if we can see this up here. Here is the new sway bar way up on top above the frame. So these brackets will bolt to these brackets that were put on to hold it in place. And then we got the new linkages here going down to the axle. So different geometry, kind of cool. Nothing hanging down below the axle, which that is one of the main benefits here. So that's where the sway bar is. Now we got to get things connected and all lined up. On here, bolted up underneath, put the nut on here, and get that tightened down, and they're working on the driver's side. So like I said, it does look pretty cool on here, and there's just nothing left underneath. So pretty clean, cool looking setup, I gotta say. Now, I haven't had a chance to get it off-road or put it on the RTI ramp or anything. I've just been doing some highway and freeway miles up to about 75 miles an hour on the speed limit on I-25 here. And we have some really, really crazy winds today. So on the way over to Rob's place, it's the very similar conditions, big crosswinds, kind of moving everything back and forth. And so same conditions on the way back. Was there a difference? Yes, there was a significant, noticeable difference in how the Gladiator feels right now. I would say, and understand, completely subjective here, no scientific data to back this up whatsoever. It feels more planted. It feels more steady on the road, even in these really high winds that we're having. So I don't feel like I'm getting thrown around. The body doesn't feel like it's rolling as much. So it's just a nicer ride with, I'm got to assume it's because of the new sway bar. And, a sway bar is designed to reduce body roll when you're in high winds or when you're making turns and things. It reduces the body roll. So I've been really used to how much body roll I get doing turns and being in high winds. Well, today, after putting that on there, it feels different. Now, normally you would say, okay, well, sure, a better sway bar, thicker torsion bar that it's on there, that can definitely make it feel the way that it does. The question is, how does a stiffer sway bar that makes a noticeable difference on road, how can it possibly provide you a nicer ride or a better quality ride off-road? Because if it's stiffer, it's going to be preventing body roll, which means it could be preventing or limiting articulation. Well, I think that comes down to the geometry of it, the amount of movement that's possible on the sway bar because of those long arms that are on there and how they stick out and allow it to flex. So I think I understand the physics behind it and why it's good on-road and off-road, but we really need to get it off-road and very much so put it on the RTI ramp this coming weekend and see how does it actually do on flexing compared to before doing this. So I do have my numbers from the last time that it was the exact same configuration. The only thing we have changed is putting on the TeraFlex sway bar. So if we end up with more articulation, well, then we have a win. So now I'm just going to drive it around for the next few days, see how things feel. I don't know that I'm going to have a chance to get it off-road, but if I can, I will. And then on Saturday, I'll go to the Jeeps and Java event. We'll put it on the ramp, and we'll see how much difference it makes on the RTI. So next stop, Jeeps and Java. So as I said, we're bringing the Gladiator out to put on the RTI ramp, which is this thing right here. So you get one tire up onto the ramp so you can see how much articulation you have. You kind of drive up until a tire starts spinning or comes off the ground. You stop, they get all the measurements, and you get a score based on that. So we will get Bagheera up on here, and we're going to see if that TeraFlex sway bar makes a difference.
139. It is a Gladiator. We verified it out.
Well, not bad at all. Pulling a 726 for a Gladiator, that is an impressive number. So I am really, really stoked with the TeraFlex rear sway bar on here. Definitely added a good 30 points to my score from before. So I am absolutely thrilled. Yeah, it's good. A couple more things we may do down the road. We may add some Clayton long arm kits to it or something, but for right now, couldn't be happier. Now we managed to get out on Yankee Hill, which is a great fun trail, and this area is called the Playground, and this is where I know I would hit those rear sway bar links. But now with them gone, I have no problems, no hesitation going over these big obstacles. And man, is it fun. So what are my thoughts on the TeraFlex JT rear sway bar? Well, I think this should be standard on all Gladiators. It seriously solves a Gladiator design flaw in my book. The way that the sway bar on the Gladiator sits so low and is prone to damage, and pretty much everybody I know who has done any moderate to hard wheeling in their Gladiator has bent the linkages. So it absolutely solves that problem because now there's nothing to hit. The connections are above the axle, so there's nothing that they're going to get in the way of. It provides excellent articulation. This thing at Jeeps and Java had the best flex of any of the other Gladiators out there. Now that's, to be fair, that's not just the TeraFlex sway bar kit. That's a combination of that with the Clayton premium lift that I have on here. So combined, those two things gave me more articulation than the other Gladiators that all had 3.5-inch lifts. One of them actually had the TeraFlex sway bar, and I did edge him out by about 10 points. So the combination of the Clayton lift with the TeraFlex sway bar, to me, is a winning combo. But if you already have a lift, I highly recommend getting this sway bar. It's not going to be cheap. You're going to spend about $750 or so on the kit itself. And if you need someone to install it for you, expect that that's going to run 3 to 4 hours labor, depending on whether someone has done it before. If they've done it before, they can probably do it in 2.5, 3.5 hours. If they've never done it before, it's probably going to be that 3.5 to maybe 4 hours of labor. There's 6 spots that need to be drilled, 2 that need to be countersunk, and that's really the extent of it. And you just got to have good drill bits, which I don't have, a countersink bit that I don't have, and if you do it on a lift, it will go so much easier because you don't have to remove the tires. If you're going to do it in your driveway, it's going to be easier if you can remove the rear tires so that you have access to get in there and drill those holes. So again, this was not sponsored by TeraFlex. They did not give this to me. I bought this sway bar kit used from a shop. I have no affiliation with TeraFlex. I don't even have an affiliate link for you. I have no discount code for you. I just think this is the way to go, and I am super, super stoked that I did it on here because I never have to worry about bending those linkages again, ever. So there you have it for me on my thoughts on this thing. I think it's awesome. Highly recommend it for any Gladiator owner. So thanks for watching, everybody, sticking with me. Be sure and like and share, subscribe to this video if you like this type of content. It truly helps the channel when you engage. Leave a comment, leave an emoji, something. It really helps build the channel up, and I deeply appreciate it. So from Katerina and myself, stay safe out there. We'll see you on the trails.